Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be the in-car camera shot of that 1997 videos that I had released recently of a very bad quality one, and I finally learned how to record and render it in 4K. It just took a day and a half for YouTube to compile it, but it worked. So I'm going to do the same thing, except this is the in-car camera shot of that 10-lap race at Spa. You'll see the 1997 Williams and the 1997 Ferrari of Michael Schumacher. So the Williams is driven by Jacques Villeneuve, at least virtually. I'm actually driving the Williams, but let's get to it and I'll talk you through this race. So I'm going to keep the volume down so I can speak, and I'll probably turn it up when I'm not speaking so y'all can enjoy it. So here's the start. Coming down to the first corner, you can see I'm getting a little tire spin because my wheel is not centered there. Making sure I get through the first corner cleanly. And as you know, there's no traction control, there's no anti-lock brakes. I believe I only have 6 gears. But Eau Rouge is actually flat in this game. I don't believe Eau Rouge, which is what we just went through, the uphill right left down now to the Camel Straight, was actually flat back in 1997. You could probably go back to the 97 race, which I know started in the wet and eventually dried out. But I don't think anyone was going flat through there, at least in qualifying, until probably in the 2000s. But I could be wrong. Y'all could probably chime in on the comments and correct me if I'm wrong. So anyway, the AI for Michael Schumacher's car is set around 98.5%. Aggression, I think, is at 37%. I'm doing everything through Content Manager. These mods, actually, the skin mods, are from VRC. Absolutely fantastic. This is one of my favorite eras of Formula One. That's why I chose to pick it to drive on those last couple videos. Spa's one of my favorite tracks too. We're getting back to the race. You can see that I'm kind of staying with the Ferrari, but little by little I'm losing touch with him. Probably because I'm still waiting for the car to settle. I've got a full load of fuel. I think I started with 55 liters. And I should have plenty to finish the race. I think I ended up with 6 or 7 liters at the end. But also making sure my tire temperatures, which I had forgotten to turn on the actual tire temp app. So I'm just going off the feel of the car. Because there's no traction control, getting out of the slow to medium speed corners, it's very touchy to not spin your rear tires. So a corner like this, where I'd want to stay in second, I've got to go down to first. But then I might short shift up to second before the tires start spinning coming out of that slow corner. And as you can see, the Ferrari is getting away. So I didn't actually do a practice race to see where I'd end up. I did a couple just starts and stops trying to get the AI as close to what my performance was, and not crazy too fast. I didn't do too much on the settings. As far as the car setup, I tweaked a couple wing settings. I changed the actual camber of the front and the rear, and I changed some tire pressures. But other than that, I didn't mess with anything else. Just enough to where the car is semi to where I like it. I know I could tweak it a little bit better so it would turn in like on this corner, and I'm not understeering through out of it. But there's a couple different physics in this game that really make it fun to drive. Is that as I get closer to the Ferrari later on, going through this corner, you can't be right behind somebody because in the real world you're downforce, because these cars produce so much downforce, especially in the rear of the car and where they throw the air up. If you ever see a three-dimensional model of how the air comes off the wings and the under trays, there is no air really on your front wing from the guy behind you. If you get close, to be able to finish that corner and get through the corner and stay relatively close without actually understeering through it because you have no downforce, or at least 50% less. So this is a newer version of Spa, so it does not have the old version of the bus stop chicane. If I find that track somewhere on Race Department, I'll see if I can't get that version of it and drive it too, to keep it more realistic. The 1997 Williams absolutely was one of the cars I followed on the 97 World Championship with Jacques Villeneuve and Heinz Cyril Frenzen. The first year that Jacques had actually come into the series was in 96. He was an IndyCar the previous years before that, Indy 500 winner, and came pretty close to winning the championship his first year with Williams, with a fantastic car from Major Newey. But this car it's fun to drive. Got V10s. Gotta love that. Gotta love the sound. I do miss that. Wish we can kind of go back to that, but I think those days are over. But it is what it is. But these cars, you can tell just on the steering wheel, going to a modern Formula 1 car to this car, there's very little buttons on the steering wheel. Very little information for the driver, besides for speed, gear indicator. Not even sure if the fuel load was actually on the dash at that point in liters. It might be just for the app here, but I'll see if I can't dig in that and find out for myself. I'm not sure the button layout is exact or the wheel's exact, but it's pretty close if you look at any of these shots from replays, especially from this race. So, trying to make headway onto the Ferrari, and I eventually, if you watch the other video, I start to get close. Where I found I was deficient at, I was fast in the corners, at least, maybe 2 to half a second, 0.2 to half a second faster in certain corners, and some other corners almost a full second, but then I would lose it again on the actual straights. So when I'm at full throttle, leading up to Eau Rouge and going down to the Camel Straight, and of course on the back part of the track, the Ferrari just had a little bit less wing on the rear probably, and probably in the front, so he would probably outrun me a couple miles per hour, if not maybe 3, if he wasn't in my draft. And of course the aggression's not that high, but he would always outbrake me into certain corners where I was trying to overtake him, which I thought I had it a couple times. The thing is, I didn't want to touch the car, even though we banged wheels a couple times during this race, because you just easily just spin out and that'd be the end of it. So I was trying to be very careful how I was going to overtake, and I just didn't have enough top speed to get past him once I got alongside of him. This track, been watching it since the early 90s, and just absolutely love it. I think it's a great place to have a track. It's a very nice flowing circuit. It's very long, so you got to get your strategy right if you're going to do a full race, and you do have a couple pit stops that you're going to make. Make sure you have enough fuel to get around right before you make your pit stop, because you can run out of fuel, and I've seen it a few times in some of the older races. But it's a fantastic track. Absolutely love it. In 1997, these were the two guys that actually took it down to the wire in Jerez in 97. That was a very closely fought championship. The cars were so very equally matched. I still think the Williams was a better performing car, but I think that year Jacques just didn't maximize it enough, and I think he was criticized a couple times because of that, because he should have just ran away with the championship, but he didn't. There's if you watch the 1997 review, you could probably see that on Formula1.com if you remember, and watch the highlights of that season. It was pretty just kind of going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and they went into the very last race within 1 point of each other. So Michael had a 1 point advantage going to the last race of the season. The first 3 cars, Michael Schumacher, Jacques Villeneuve, and Heinz Frentzen, all set the same exact qualifying time, at least as far as they would match it. So if you were watching the qualifying back then, or you can look it up today, it was the exact same, down to the thousandth of a second, same time coming across. So they all lined up first, second, and third. The only reason the person who got first was because they went out first. If you had a couple more zeros to that time, and you actually really dug into it, you'd find out actually who actually had the fastest time, but it was so crazily close. Like I said, it was down to thousandths of a second exact. But in this race in 97, it started in the rain. I didn't turn on weather effects, and as you can see now, getting back to the race, I'm getting close. So I don't know why the Ferrari started slowing up. Maybe the AI didn't put enough fuel on, because I don't have control of that, and maybe he's short shifting, saving fuel, and maybe his tires aren't working as well. All I know is I'm getting close. So, be it that I didn't do a practice race before I recorded this, I was happy that I at least got the setup enough to where we're getting close together, but I'm not getting enough of a toe in the draft right now. Right here I start to really get it, but I had to get out of the draft to get alongside him, and there's just no way I'm going to outbrake him without having an accident or going straight forward and missing the corner. Getting out of the seat. As you see, I'm spinning the tires, so I got a little aggressive and I didn't upshift the second and short shift up there to keep my tires from spinning. Let's listen to a lap without commentary. So you can see there coming into the last chicane, I locked up my tires because he was out braking me again and he was just chopping over to take the corner. My rear tires locked up, so I got crossed up, and then getting out of the chicane to get down to the finish line, the start-finish line, I just was spinning my tires the whole time. So my ideal place I want to pass is right here on the Camel Straight. That's where I want to pass. I just got to be close enough going up through the uphill left-right Eau Rouge to get enough of a toe where I can do it, and I believe my first attempt at doing that is this next coming lap. If I couldn't do it on the Camel Straight, then I would do it on the back straight going into the back the last chicane. So I get through here. Oh, almost swapped ends there. Had to catch it. Got my tires on the curb just a little too much. As you can see here, if I get too close going into a corner, I lose that front end grip. Taking a peek. Now right here is one I want to close the gap a little bit, get back on the accelerator, and try to get some sort of toe, and I'm still too far back. I might catch him towards the end of the top end speed of my car, but not enough to get past or make a safe enough late brake into the chicane as we go here again. Here we go. You can see the red arrow. That's where he's at. I'm actually ahead of him right there. I actually late braked. He still got into the inside. I got to cut back. Slowly get back on the gas. There, I short shifted the second so I wouldn't spin it, but I lost a little time. So right now, here it is again. Late brake into the first corner. Get right up next to him. Spun a little bit there. Now I believe I'm close enough that I can make a run when we get to the top of Eau Rouge. This is like, alright, okay, I got him. Alright, here we go. Poke out. Now I got full downforce, but I also got drag. I'm physically in front of him. What I should have done now is crossed over and blocked him, and I didn't. I played it safe, and he outbroke me again. And I'm lined up back behind him again, but I've got my plan, but I'm running out of laps of when I need to do this. But if you saw the last video, I never got... see, I locked up the rear brakes again. I never got close enough like I did this past lap, where I was enough ahead where I could just chop it down and close him and make him slow up so he wouldn't try and take the corner. So I could have been a little bit more aggressive. I was just trying not to hit him, because even though you saw that arrow showing where he was at in my blind spot, I wasn't really clear of them yet. If I had just moved over to the right, we probably would have touched tires, and hopefully none of us would have spun off, but there's a pretty good chance you would have done that. Here I come again. Here comes the tow. Tow's pulling me in. I had to get off the gas because we're in the middle of a corner and I had no place to go. I would have gone off track. So cut back in. Try to undercut him. Shut the door. And we start the whole process over again. So running out of laps. We're getting towards the end of the race here. And now I'm thinking to myself, alright, I've got to get aggressive. There's no way I'm going to get past him as I caught another fishtail. My reserve light starts to show up. I've still got plenty of fuel. I got 15 liters of fuel still left. I end the race with like 6, I think. 6 or 7. Here I'm too far back again, so I didn't get close enough to him coming down to Eau Rouge where I could actually slingshot past here like I did the previous lap. Oh, right there I totally messed up because I had my tires on the curb, and they just started gripping when I got on the gas, the rear tires, and almost spun me around. You can use the curbs in certain tracks very well to your advantage, but certain curbs like here, unless they're flat, they don't have any kind of height to them, you want to try and avoid them as best you can, especially on medium to high speed corners. And this is just a 10-lap race. Imagine if I did a full race with just these 2 cars, and I'm stuck doing this the entire hour and a half of a race. It gets frustrating. As here's another tow. I had to get out, so you can see we're kind of evenly matched on top speed. He's taking the inside line. We just touched a little bit. And I'm going to try and late break him here, and I just see he's coming across again. Alright, let's listen to this last lap. And as you can see, I tried to make a lunge for it a few corners back, and he chopped me down, touched my actual front wing, which I was shocked it didn't get damaged or get cut off. But that was the 10-lap race. I really enjoyed it, had a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, give it a like, and there's more videos to come. Thanks a lot. Take care.